Oh my God, your setup is so professional, Yosef. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome,
Thanks
come
for
in.
having me.
Thanks for being here. I'm like so intimidated by your microphone.
Yeah, you're actually on my podcast. We have Sarah
Oh
on as a guest.
my God. So I was saying, not everyone um, comes in to watch this live. A lot of people let me know that they watch on the replay. So if
Hello,
you're watching on the
replayers.
replay, hello. Thank you very much for watching. So would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us about you, and then I'll
Sure.
jump in.
I've worked for roughly 2 decades in video production, doing promotional type content for small businesses, documentary style, that kind of thing. And around 10 years ago, I started a photography project. And I'm sure we'll do the deep dive, but it was me and my friends. And I've been running that for now about 12 years. And that actually is now taking up more of my time than the freelance, than the video production stuff. So I kind of flipped it over the last few years, which is also an interesting
Mm.
chapter point.
Oh, I can see two people are watching. So whoever you are, say hello and tell us who you are because on ecamm you'll only just come up as Facebook user, so that doesn't help me at all. Now, so I met you because Facebook told me that there was this project called 52 Frames, and at that point, um, my son wasn't born yet, so it must have been 20, is it 2011? Is that right?
I think it was 2010.
2010,
Yeah,
and
we
your
just finished our
original
12th
plan
year.
was to allow 52 people to join, and I was number 53, and I was all like really huffy about the fact that I'd like missed it by one.
Oh,
And
that's a
then
great backstory. Wait, you were year one. You were there.
yeah, and then a few months later you decided to let me in.
It's just so
Not like I hold
interesting.
grudges or anything.
Oh, I made you wait a few months.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's start with that point, like just the iteration, just like the constant uh adapting and evolving of anything, of any project, especially something like this, which was so organic. You're having me come on talk about community management, community building. It's like, yeah, in hindsight, I have
you
some
did.
takeaways,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the biggest takeaway is that you don't really know, you have to adapt. So like year one, like you said, we have 52, the project's called 52 frames, right? So maybe for people that don't know. So basically the premise is we issue a photo challenge each week, a weekly photo challenge to anyone. Doesn't You don't have to be a professional photographer. Really, it's about the creative, to carve out some creative space in your week. I think it's very important to like hit that brain muscle, even without the context of like getting better at something, just to quiet out the noise, right, of like everything else that we're doing in our lives, and take on a fun challenge, a fun little project. And for me, when I first started, right, was already in video, and I was getting into photography, into stills more, and it was just more of a way for me to like learn my DSLR and learn everything that goes with that. And I invited friends to join, and it made sense at the time. Let's lock it down, 52 people, like that makes sense, right? And also we were on a Facebook page, so we made everyone an admin of the
Oh my
page.
God, really? Wow, wow.
And so everyone had access to the album, and there was no deadline. It was like honor system, like take the
Yeah,
photo.
until I interfered.
Everyone has to take the photo, and then whenever you can like post the photo to the album. Uh,
Yeah.
so like long story short, you see what works and what doesn't work. The albums would trickle down from like 50 to 40 to 30, and then it was like seven photos in the album, because people were like, oh yeah, they would post like retroactively, like for the last four
Mm,
weeks when they got the
right.
chance. And then obviously some people would stop posting, right? They got busy, they would stop participating. which is like a natural, like obvious, but when you're starting, oh, everyone's gonna participate every single week until the very end. Like that's super easy, right? And
Yeah.
then I don't know, I guess it was year 2, I think, that I was like, okay, everyone can join. We don't have to, or maybe it was mid-year actually when we let Sarah and I come in.
And then I'm
Uh,
like, right, we need to sort this out. You need a theme every week. You need I'm like, this is how you need to, I was very bossy. Very, very bossy.
you were, I think I don't remember you being bossy at all. I just remember your amazing photography because we were all kind of in the same like amateur boat, just having fun, trying to figure it out. I don't even think people were using their phones because I don't think phones were good enough
No,
at the
not
time.
really.
And
Yeah.
your photos were like above and beyond. Like I just remember your photos being magical. Like Sarah Anand, even that name was like just a presence of inspiration. And it's
Uh,
very interesting to like, and then here you are hosting this a very large, circle of a decade. It's nice to be out here.
so I think one of the things that you did, which is really clever, for anyone that's interested in like community building, um, is I mean, well, there's a bunch of things that come to mind, but I was thinking about how you've kind of gamified it. Um, so and Duolingo do this. Like people want to keep using Duolingo because they don't want to lose their streak,
Yeah,
right? So
Duolingo and Wordle, they all came after me though.
yes, you were first to the space
Maybe
with
they copied me.
gamification.
Yeah, maybe they all joined 52 frames. Yeah, it's interesting because it's a I would even call it a pretty extreme project. What do I mean by that? It's like very hard to dip in and dip out, much like the gym. I feel like people that go to the gym, sure, I'm sure there's people out there that are like, "Oh, I haven't gone in a few weeks. Let me go back to the gym." Or I'll go just like once a week or once every other week. It doesn't really work in like the pattern of life. So I realized early on that there's people that continue a streak, meaning they don't miss a submission. Obviously, is to submit 52 weeks in a row, right? And then you get a weekly warrior title, you get a badge. That's the gamification aspect. You get a badge on your profile. You're a weekly warrior. Then we have weekly warrior times 2 if you do like 2 years in a row. And we have people 10-time weekly warriors, which is crazy when you think about the dedication. And it's not about that. And I make that very clear. It's about this week, right? It's about
Mm.
just don't break the streak. Just start chaining them together. I know this is, a quote by Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if that's original. Maybe it comes from somebody else before him. But it's if you want to do anything, like that's what life is about. Just get a calendar and get a red marker, make an X every day, every week, whatever the task is. There's so much power in a streak. There's so much
Yes.
power in just that. Just do one after the other. Sobriety is another one that comes to mind. I mean, there's you could do anything if you just chain them together. So I realized also from a marketing perspective, let's say, where we want people to stay in the community, right? It's very clear, maybe unlike a gym because they just get your membership, for the year. It was very clear to me that people that would drop a week here or a week there, they generally wouldn't come back. I would count them as out. As soon as you like break the streak, for my numbers, let's say, I'm like, they're not going to be there. Maybe they'll trickle back. Maybe they'll come back, the following year, but these are big maybes. So the gamification was really to like support the marketing, so to speak, of retention and making a strong point to like if you want to be in the project, the best way to do that is just to submit every week. And that's where this whole notion of like embrace imperfection came in, where you have to be imperfect if you're going to submit every week. And the 52 frames project is not about submitting your best photo. It's just about submitting a photo. Everyone has 7 days. So they're not all going to be bangers. Mostly not. Like most you're going to be limping in, an hour before the line like I do. And the concept is that over the course of time, first of all, you're carving for yourself whatever time that is every week to be creative and to participate. You're making sure your camera doesn't collect dust. That's first and foremost. But then you look back on it over the year and you're like, oh, wait, actually, I did have some good photos. Oh, actually, I did improve. Like there is progression. So, so the concept is to just be okay with imperfection, but the streak, right? That red X, that streak number, chaining things together is paramount. And it's helped in ways that I couldn't imagine because that now people give me feedback of like, I am such a perfectionist. I know you and I think, can relate to that as well. And not only did this help so much with my photography and my participation in the project, but in life, just you're able to like disengage a little bit from perfectionism, and then you have progress and you're able to move. You know, you complimented my studio, and in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, this is like my first level. Like, yes, I have it in the back, but I'm still like working on design. I want to have like little orange lights hanging in the back there and some wood trim on the walls and more aesthetics. I don't know the framing, but this whole thing next to me is bare and empty, and it's like it's okay. And I've just taken that on for me as well. Uh, in general, it's like this is a good starting point. Run with this, and then as you go, you'll get better.
Right. So, I mean, your starting point back in whenever it was, 2010, was, a Facebook page, a project. At some point, it kind of leveled up, and there was a committee of people that would vote on who got cover. Like getting cover was like such a big deal. And then like who was going to be like first, second, and third in the album, maybe, which was always a laugh. Um, and then I kind of, I think it must have been like when my fourth child was born, I just thought I can't keep up with this, and I bowed out. And then, when I check back in a few years later, I'm like, this has exploded. So what happened? What happened between there and
Right.
now?
So it's funny again, like looking at it in hindsight, I have takeaways. But when I started this, it was oh, I'm gonna invest, a couple $100,000 into web development and create this whole worldwide community and have photo exhibitions around the world and
Oh,
photo trips
yes!
and
Oh
like
my God, I
all
forgot
like
about that.
looking back on it and looking at it now, it's a real major force that I'm humbled really to just witness myself. But again, it comes back to those roots, right? Because it's the same mentality where after year one, I was like, oh, wait, we should probably let more than 50 people in. And then after, I think after year two, I was like, are submitting the photos like 4 weeks later. Like, we're going to create a deadline. This was very controversial at the time. We're going to create a deadline. And like after the 7 days, you can't submit the photo anymore. You have to submit by the seventh day. That suddenly people started, there was some backlash, and then people
Of
started
course.
taking it more seriously. Um, this constant adaptation, that's how I would put it.
Yeah.
Community building is about paying attention. It's about really being in the community and seeing like, okay, what are the needs of the community? And for me, it was never like a foresight thing. It was always like at the end of the year, we're starting a new year. I'm like, what do I need to do this year? Like looking back on it, of how to support, like, what are the pain points? And like one of the pain points that was abundantly clear is that we were on a Facebook page. So, like, a business page, which is meant for like a business profile to share some photos about their business, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And 52 Frames was like just a business profile page on Facebook. And each week we created a new Facebook album on that page,
Yeah.
which had a 300 photo limit to the album.
Oh. Oh, I didn't
So
realize
like we
that. Wow.
always knew like at some point we're going to hit that limit anyways. Like, and
Oh.
then over the years, like Facebook would change something, and then we had a script. Somebody made us a script that we wouldn't have to manually upload anymore. We can like run a Facebook script, and it would. But then Facebook thought we were a bot, and they would like take us down. And then
Oh.
there was just this constant, again, like adapting and reacting.
Mm.
But getting off of Facebook was a very clear goal. Like, if I knew the product would ultimately not survive on Facebook, it couldn't. It wasn't. It couldn't get enough nourishment, and at some point, it would get taken down. Not for any like wrongdoing, but the way Facebook is, it doesn't know that, little 52 frames Facebook page. They just change the way scripts work. They change the certain access points, certain data points, certain, this or that. Um, I had to get a website. And that's when I started a Patreon, and people
Right,
submitting to
in case
Patreon.
anyone people don't know what Patreon is, it's very popular with podcasters as a way to, take your passion project and start making money from it. And people can pay. I pay um, £3 a month. What is that? So it's like 12 shekels a month to a podcast that I support. Um, and I get special access. I get like once in a while we all like meet up on a YouTube live and we all like comment together and have a chat.
What
And I get special like extra episodes or whatever. So
it's like, what's
how
the
do you work
podcast
it?
about? It's about marketing.
It's called On the Edge. No, it's all like kind of cults and edgy stuff that I'm really interested in.
And are you a patron? Like, do you contribute because you want this extra content, or because you want to just support the creator?
I'm one of those weird people that was like, "Go you, Andrew. This is a great podcast. I want this to carry on. I'm going to give £3 a month."
So that's not weird. That what you're describing is actually, strangely enough, like common human behavior today. We
Good. That's good to
we
know.
experience like a creator that resonates with us, that we feel is doing good in this world, that's putting out good
Mm,
content, and we want to support them, especially if we know they're doing it for free, or they're doing it like at a cost to themselves. You're like, okay, you could have my £3 a month. Like, I wanna encourage that in the world.
yeah, and also
So
because I started listening to podcasts the year my third child was born, which is like 2005. And I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is free. This is
right,
insane."
right.
So that kind of really played into it as well. I was like, we like we just get all this stuff for free, and we just expect everyone to. And oh no, the ads. Yeah, of course there's going to be ads because how
Right.
else are they supposed to exist?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Patreon.
But that's a good pivot into, if you wanted to build a community from scratch today, you have to just think, what can I give for free? I mean, that's really what it is. If you do it well
Mm,
enough and it resonates well enough and you're authentic about it, people will just start supporting you. People will want to see it continue. Patreon is a great site, which I've moved off of since to move it in house, but that's a great site to just kind of plug and play.
yeah.
Hey, community, hey, listeners, viewers, whatever. Go to patreon.com/ whatever my link is, and help. If you like this, help support me. And then you can have different tiers. And like you said, you get access to live, you get access to content. That's up to the creator. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's not even so much for the content. Like, yeah, you'll participate, but you just want to toss some coin his way to help support the project. I
And
think that's
did you have problems like moving everyone off Facebook and onto a different platform?
It was
Was
it
that
was that was always the question mark, but by the time I got around to it and the website was ready, Facebook was already, I don't wanna say anything too negative because we're on Facebook now, right? Facebook was already not as popular, let's say. I was gonna be way more dramatic.
right?
Um, People were okay at that point getting off of the platform and going on to our home base, which is
So what? So
52frames.com.
So how does it work? Like that must be quite complicated. It's like creating a community via a website. Did you like have that built just like from scratch, or did you use some kind of because there are community platforms like Circle and School with a K.
Right, there's probably way easier ways to do it because, we're a photo community that already had its own rules.
Right.
Like, it's hard to plug and play something where there's a dedicated album for but 7
Right.
days you can add to the album, but then you're locked out and then everyone can view it, but not until we're ready, and so it
Mm,
kind of had to be custom, even if we could have used some, like, plug and play, I felt like just
okay.
going custom was a way to do it. Um, every month, whatever money was coming in from the community through Patreon, that would go straight to the web developers. That was their budget for the month. And
Right.
just slowly built it that way. So I wasn't making any money. It was probably costing me a lot of money, definitely a lot of time, but it was just a natural way because I was fully into video production for freelance clients. This was just something completely on the side. I would devote probably 1 or 2 days and then, of course, like, constant, maintenance and supervision just to kind of keep it rolling and keep it alive, and I felt it was much bigger than me, and I felt obligated to support it. People
Yeah, and
felt
also people really wanted to hear from you. Like if Yosef hadn't commented on the photo, it was like
that.
such a
Well, now there's
downer.
like 3,000 photos, a week, so I don't comment on every photo,
Oh my God.
um, but it's nice because even with scaling from what we've scaled, I do wanna scale much more always, but it's nice that the feelings of these like year 1, year 2, like that whole starting energy still has trickled down. Like you said, even though I'm not commenting on every photo, we have committees that comment on every photo. We have people that will post in our groups like, "Hey, there's still 100 photos that don't have any comments." Like,
Oh my God.
like people take a stand for the things that mattered to us back then. And that's fascinating as a community manager, founder, just to watch it, to see it evolve. Communities today, it is trickle down, and that includes companies. In my opinion, like I've kind of seen this in the negative also. There's just some companies just a bit toxic, just like everyone's like a little bit mean, and then I meet the CEO.
And you're
I'm
like,
like, oh, okay,
oh,
like
okay, yeah,
yeah, you're
yeah, I
kind of
get
you're
it.
kind of toxic and mean. So it really is a trickle down, and I think that's a positive point because I generally didn't have too much issue with, like, letting go, like, "Here, committee, like, run with this." I have a committee for Instagram and also all volunteer based. I think also it
Right.
stems from letting go and giving them that, like, "Yeah, run it, like, do it yourselves, um, and I think it's positive in the sense that if your heart is in the right place, it'll trickle down. It'll trickle down even when you're not. I haven't been involved in like just onboarding. Like I used to handhold every person that came in. It was like my voice was there and I was handholding them.
Right.
And for years, it's probably like with the turnover, there's such new people over the last few years, but it's still there. That culture, as the kids call it these days. And
Yeah.
it comes back to if your heart is in the right place. Like I was saying before, that companies or people that are looking for profit that just they want to see like a really dry like Instagram account from I don't know
Mm.
what, from a tax company. I don't know. Something like dry. And it's clear that they're just like, oh, we need our Instagram content. So let's just put on
Yeah,
some
let's just throw
nice
some
little
stuff up. Mm.
and even if they get your heart has to be in the right place because your viewers, your potential community will smell it immediately.
Yeah.
If you're offering something like a podcast, like a project that gives value for free, and even if it's not, even if there's some pages, you're providing value, people will respond. And then once you have a committed community, at that point, you could do something like, take them off of Facebook and put them somewhere else, especially if you
Yeah.
have email addresses. That's probably like the anchor, I would say, of like of like a data point of any community that you could kind of move them around at that point. If they're strong enough, you could shoot an
Mm,
email if you have their ears and say, hey, we're now meeting here, we're now meeting there. The whole idea for me of building a community was that I was never building a community. I had just put out this project. We got too big. I had somebody write a script. I had to institute rules. I had to do this. I had to do that. I realized I needed to get off Facebook. I had to start collecting money. We like created a budget for developers. Throughout the whole process, the community was involved. We were all involved. We were all kind of doing it together. There's no way I could have faked that for 10
no.
years. Also, I didn't actually like collect any money. Like the project was not monetized for a decade, right? Like somebody
Right.
like Gary Vee always talks about that, like patience and
Yeah.
this and that. Again, not foresight. I'm like community genius. I'm saying these are the things that stand out to me after a decade of doing this. Um, and it's as simple as that. Offer a service, actually like nurture, see what you could do for other people, create an interesting idea, right? It's
Mm.
like putting cool Canva flyers on an Instagram account. And it's like, why is my community not building? Like, what's the, w- like, why do people want to participate? And I
Yeah.
always say, like, give a weekly challenge because I mean, that's what I did. It's pretty obvious, but I think anyone can. Anyone could give a weekly challenge. I think humans like weekly challenges. I saw on some level we miss homework, I think, in a weird way.
No, 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 no.
I
We
think
never miss
so.
homework.
And to just do something for fun, like on TikTok, I see all these different challenges, like work out, 2 hours a day and drink this for 90 days. And it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. But if you did it without the context of a challenge, it would sound awful. Um, you know,
Wait,
offer something. Yeah.
so where is it? So where are you today? Like in terms of like you've monetized it, 10 years on, you've got this platform, you've grown to like thousands of people across the world, which is amazing because back in the day, we're Israel based, so we always had to keep reminding people like this
Speak
community is
English.
growing, speak English, like you can't keep using Yiddish or Hebrew, like people don't all understand what you're talking. Right, so that's lots of questions. I want to know, like, are you still struggling with that, like people forgetting that not everyone is in the same space as them? And how much, like percentage wise, are people actually contributing? Like, do you have everyone paying or is it just bits and pieces?
So no, we don't have everyone paying. And I again, like this concept of like offering something for free and being authentic. When I rolled out this premium membership, which I call patron membership because we were on Patreon, I wanted to like keep the wording similar, which is terribly confusing and probably a terrible idea. Um, I wanted to make sure also with launching the website itself that kind of went together. I wanted, first of all, everything that was on Facebook that was free. Obviously, I wanted for that to remain free. Like there was never going to be like a feature I was going to then take away behind a paywall. And I also wanted to make it, and I don't know if this is like just me being a bad businessman, but I wanted to make it that you can literally go to 52 Frames, sign up, create an account, participate, submit every week, get a profile, follow people, sort albums by the people that you follow, comment for free. Like there's nothing holding you back. For me, what was most important is the project itself. I think it's vital that we participate in a creative exercise every week. That at the end of the day, that's what I want, right? So the money is to help keep that going, to help support that endeavor. And I want people to be able to participate for free. I want people to be able to participate. So the premium membership, which they launched in 2021, which I wasn't planning on launching in 2021, but 2020, I don't know if you heard, there was like a whole virus thing, and and it
Wondering
was
what
like a
you.
big deal in certain places. I don't know if you heard about it,
Mm,
and my phone for like my freelance video work, my phone stopped ringing, like stopped
Mm.
completely, which was shocking to me because I was a pretty pretentious video editor, producer. Like I would say no a lot to clients. I'd be like, nah, that job doesn't really speak to me. Um, which probably,
That's not pretentious, by the way.
which is, well, which is also why my phone stopped because I think I had built a very niche window of potential clients. So when things closed up, it was like I wasn't like working on bulk. It was like, anyways, I was very selective. So I spent all of 2020. I doubled down into specking out and designing and investing in this whole premium membership, this whole patron membership portion of the site of 52frames.com. So when you join the project, everything is free, and there's no ads. Sometimes we get sponsors, but there's no ads, which maybe is also just because I'm a bad businessman. But I don't know. I don't like ads. Maybe in the future. Um, but every so often you'll get reminded, like, hey, if you'd like this feature, you can help support the project. Become a patron. So
Right.
we have about 600 paid framers, and we have about well, there's like 3,000 photos in the album, so maybe 3,000, 3,500 active. And the email goes out to around 10, 12,000 people with almost a 50% open rate, which is kind of ridiculous,
Wow.
ridiculously high.
Which
So
platform
there's,
are you using to email? Because a lot of them go straight to spam.
yeah, I don't know. I have like at least 5,000 opens. So I would say it's like the community, I would say it's 5,000 people. Like they're opening, even if they're not, I think they're a part of the community. And then obviously there's Instagram and Vero and TikTok and wherever we're at now.
Wow.
Um, so
Yeah.
there's I think a bunch of people on the side that are even just checking in, checking out. So I don't know what that means ratio wise, like in the general like marketing sense in the world, but it is it is enough support for me to realize, okay, 52 frames for me on a personal level, like that is my full-time job. Like that needs to be my main focus. And I kind of flipped it where my freelance video, that's now the thing on the side that's rolling that I'm just like maybe, contributing 1 or 2 days a week or less than that, if an interesting project comes along. Um, and it's a little bit transitionary right now, but I think it's a good, it's a good space to be in to try and make that a reality. Like I'm almost there, but it definitely is my full time focus. Um, and yeah, I launched in 2021, and by all measures, it was a success. I think people were already submitting, already contributing on Patreon. I mean, we brought it internally, and I was able to offer a lot more because it was internal. I was able to offer a lot of these features uh, in the actual like the actual browsing of the album and just general the general behavior on the site to be able to do like some more fun things,
Do you
extra
have
filter
different
options.
payment tiers?
So yeah, I have 3 tiers
Okay, let's hear them.
because in marketing they say you have to have three.
Mm.
So the top tier is like a super amount of money, and that I only allow 3 people. That's just to show that there's a top tier.
How much is
Um,
that?
that's oh, I don't remember. It's like $1,500 a year, something like that.
And you have three people in the top tier?
Oh yeah, that's locked out. Yeah, there's always 3 people, and then there's a waiting list. Yeah,
Amazing.
right. So
Amazing.
like maybe you and me, like, okay, that's a lot of money for what it's offering, which is, by the way, me critiquing their photo personally every week. That's that on top of everything else, that's the offering, which comes out to, I think it's $30 a week. So it's basically
Mm.
paying $30 for my
That is
personal critique.
brilliant. That is
So
brilliant. I love that.
for some people, it's a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, I want Yosef to let me know what he thinks every week for $30. And for you and me, maybe that sounds like a steep cost. I don't know if I wouldn't drop that tier on somebody else's community. And that was another like teachable lesson for me is not everyone is me, right? Like,
Yes.
especially when you're
Yes.
making price points, let the community decide.
Yeah.
Also, like Gary Vee always says this. I'm not such a Gary Vee fan, but this is kind of what's in my head. Um, he's like the market, let the market decide. Like the market doesn't care. They just put it out. If the market doesn't like it, you're like, but it's a really good idea. It's like, okay, but the market doesn't care if it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Conversely, if you're like, I'm putting it out, but the price is, I feel like it's a bit high. Like if the market doesn't think it's high, and I think my price points have really seemingly been at a really good spot because it's a very even distribution. There's like about as many people that have signed up for the first tier and the second tier. Very quickly, the first tier, which is basically that gives you the most stuff in the membership. You get access to the weekly album sooner than everyone else. You get advanced like filter features and sorting features. You get extra profile features. Your profile can look prettier, and you get access to weekly content that I used to put out more often. Now it's a library of different photo tutorials, and I built a course called Shooting 101 Photography Fundamentals. You get access to the entire course. I'm in the process of shooting and editing 101, which is going to be the second part of the course. It's going to be another course also going to be offered for free patrons. So it's basically like it's like a 52 frames, plus all the extra benefits. So you can still
Amazing.
participate the same way. You get extra stuff and you get access to content if you want to take photography. You want to get better. You want to take that more serious. That's a good way to do it. If you don't want to take it more seriously or you don't want to support, that's okay too. And that's like the baseline. That's called the patron tier. And then I have a patron plus tier, which is all that, but you also get access to a weekly screencast that I give where I critique 20 photos. I go over 20 photos. It's about 45 minutes long, which hence the setup because I'm recording content here. And that's like a really good way to you're essentially taking a photography class, and it's always different and it's always timely because you would have just submitted a week, so I'm going over photos from that week's challenge. It's just a really good learning tool. And again, that last tier is just your photo is in that video every week. That's the deal.
Which, well, oh, I see. When you said I'm thinking, why is my phone? Okay, I'm
Your
listening with you.
photo, right?
Oh my God, that is amazing. I had no idea that it had like I knew it had obviously grown, but that's insane. Um one more question, which and then we'll wrap up. Just you talked about sending out an email that you get really good open rates on. What do you use to send out your emails? Which platform are you on?
I use Mailchimp, um,
Oh, interesting.
which yeah. Why is that interesting?
Because a lot of people moved away from Mailchimp, but I'm
So I was
assuming
just
that
gonna
they
say,
must have like really upped their game because
right. So I was
it's
gonna say, which I've heard is not the best one. Once you're in big numbers, you have a lot more. You have a lot more control over some of the bigger boys. But it's worked for me. It's a little bit clunky in the design aspect, which I think they're rolling out new a whole new
yeah,
like design feature. But it works enough. Like the emails go out. Um, I think it's just also like the mentality of, oh, I'm paying for this phone
yeah,
service or internet company. Like I don't really want to research a new one and have to create it
no, but
again.
also people know like your email is going to go out once a week on a certain day, and they're invested in this challenge, so they will go look for it. And if it's landed in spam, they'll take it out of spam and put it. It
Yeah,
it
it's a very
that's
active community. Yeah, people are involved. I'm not giving out information or tech tips or whatever. This is like, do you want to, are you participating? Like, you need to open this up. This is this week's challenge. This is what you need to know.
yeah,
It's a very active community.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So I've put a little comment here that has got the URL. You just have to type in 52 frames and it's very easy to find if anyone wants to join.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a whole host of platforms that you're on: Instagram, TikTok. Where else are you?
I think all the things.
Everything. You mentioned a platform that I've never heard of as well.
Vero. You don't know about Vero?
I think I must have tried that out and thought, okay, I don't need another.
There was 1 week a few months ago where Instagram wasn't cool, but then they were cool the following week. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh, funny.
I don't even remember what happened, to be honest. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg said something, and then uh, and Vero just like spiked. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get on the Vero. Vero is basically
Mm,
Instagram,
yeah,
but
but actual photos.
there's no algorithm. It's actual photos, and you could also post like videos and links and other things, but it's basically photos, and your feed are just people that you follow in chronological order in which they posted, meaning Instagram when Instagram first came out.
Yeah, right.
Uh, and it has, like all these other niche things like Discord, and there's just like a
Oh,
community that
yeah.
in that environment, and they like it there. So, we try and at least be a little bit active. Um for me it was more like, well, if Vero takes off, because who knows what takes off, right? ChatGPT took like a month. Like you just don't know. So I'm like,
Yeah, and
oh, if Vero takes
Clubhouse,
off,
like, does anyone use Clubhouse anymore?
no, I don't
No.
know. Right, you don't know. That's it. Right, some of these just come and go because it's just marketing dollars and not actually a product. Um, I'm like, well, if I could get in before the spike, I could be like the most popular,
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
right. That didn't happen, but it's nice. We have a presence there.
Okay.
But 52frames.com is where, like, essentially you could see what's going on. You could sign up for the emails. You could create an account. And then, I slowly trickle out the information. Like, if you're interested, we have an Instagram account. We have this and that. That's like the base is the website.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Again,
Thank
Sarah,
you.
it's an honor. I really you were integral in like the early years of just upping everyone's game. Like you should really know. I still look at you like 10 years later, 12 years later as this like enigma of like, oh, Sarah Nan, like your
An
photos
enigma.
were
Why am I an enigma? That's so funny. That's what my teacher called me in school.
really. See, there you go. So you still have that energy. Everyone
That's
was like, "Oh, I'll
amazing.
never be like Sarah Nan. She's so good. She's the best." We would look
God,
forward to see what you would submit
cringe,
every week.
cringe.
And yeah, when a community is so small, there's it could take just one or two outliers to really up everyone's game. It changed it. It was like, oh, wait a second, like there's some good people here. Like there's more to learn. There's more to do.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Oh, anytime. Well, you know. Anyway, thank you for giving me your time. It's
You're
been
very welcome.
awesome. And maybe one day we'll see each other. Who knows?
Sounds great.
All right.
Bye,
Cheers.
everyone.
Bye, guys.